KTN Global News. First, the headlines. Two more Rivers lawmakers withdraw from Fubara. Impeachment bid. Kwankwaso denies endorsing Governor Yusuf. Alleged defection to APC. FG, ASU sign new agreements to improve tertiary education. World Bank projects Nigeria's 2026 to 2027 economic growth at 4.4%. US suspends immigrant visa processing for Nigeria, 74 others. Tottenham signed England midfielder Conor Gallagher from Atletico. Nigerian gospel singer Bumi Akinanu passes away. Impeachment process against Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara and Deputy Ngozi Odu suffered another setback as two more members of the State House of Assembly withdrew their established 9-member committee to address the ongoing political situation in the state. The committee is chaired by His Majesty Dr. Suwanu T.Y. Baridam, with His Majesty Eze Barrister Wanchuku Nnam Obi serving as co-chair. Other members include His Majesty Eze Uchechukwu, Isaiah Eluku, His Majesty Eze Leslie Eke, His Majesty Dr. Samuel Amechi, His Majesty Dr. Felix Otuwaripo, His Majesty Eze Barrister Onyekachi Unit, Emoha. Annex, following credible intelligence, Ibrahim, who has been terrorizing the Port Harcourt International Airport Road access in Omagwa, was intercepted while attempting to relocate his camp and weapons to the Agbonchia Oyibo Road area in Eleme local government area. Items recovered from him include one AK-47 rifle, 2 magazines loaded with 36 rounds of 7.62 x 39mm live ammunition. During interrogation, the suspect confessed to being the leader of a kidnapping syndicate operating in different parts of Rivers State. The suspect and exhibits are in police custody, while efforts are ongoing to arrest other gang members and recover more weapons. The Commissioner of Police, CP Olubenga A. Adepoju, praised the operatives for their swift action and urged residents to remain vigilant and report suspicious activity. Arrested during last weekend's protest will be released. Some students were freed on Tuesday, while the remainder regained freedom on Wednesday, according to Commissioner for Education, Paddy Eyamu. Eyamu explained that the unrest was largely instigated by non-students from outside Edo who caused property destruction. He recalled that previous peaceful protests had been handled orderly by the government, stressing that taking law into one's hand is unacceptable. With normalcy restored in Ekpoma, the government has approved the resumption of academic activities, with schools in the area reopening on Monday. Security agencies continue to maintain order. The protests were initially sparked by rising kidnappings and insecurity in the town. Over 50 people were arrested after police reported looting, vandalism, and destruction of property during demonstrations. Governor Monday Okpebolo clarified that the unrest was not organized by AUU students, but by outsiders taking advantage of the situation. He met with the Students' Union Government President to assure that measures will be taken to prevent further disruptions. Edo State Governor Senator Monday Okpebolo has said the state's rich history should serve as a springboard for modern development during an inspection of ongoing projects in Udomi, Esa Center local government area. The governor highlighted initiatives including the construction of a 150-bed Edo Specialist Hospital, the Udomi Town Hall for events and revenue generation, and the Udomi Holiday Resort, which will feature a golf course, Theme Village Hotel, and other tourism facilities. Okwebolo emphasized that his administration is committed to visible and sustainable development across Edo State, saying that the state's history should not limit progress. He assured residents that substantial infrastructural and urban transformation, particularly in Benin City, will be evident within the next 2 years, and that development will be pursued evenly across the state's 3 senatorial districts. The governor made the remarks during the tour alongside senior government officials and party leaders, including retired General Cecil Ise Gaibe and Sylvester. While addressing the parties in her office, noted that the state governor, Professor Chukuma Soludo, would not condone any act that infringes on the constitutional right of students to learn in a peaceful and conducive environment. While noting that the school in question existed long before the church moved into the area. Chuma Ude urged the church to explore peaceful ways of coexisting with the school, describing peaceful coexistence as the true value of Christianity. She directed the church to reschedule their weekdays activities to commence from 4 p.m. during the surgery. Her husband said she complained of serious pain and was taken back to the hospital several times before she eventually died. The incident has triggered public outrage, with residents and civil groups demanding justice and stronger oversight in public hospitals. Federal Capital Territory Administration has commended the National Health Fellows Program for its contribution to strengthening healthcare delivery across the territory, noting that the initiative has enhanced manpower support, data management, and service delivery at the grassroots. The Mandate Secretary of the FCT Health Services and Environment Secretariat, Dr. Ade Dolapo Fasawe, gave the commendation on Monday in Abuja during interviews for the second cohort of the National Health Fellows, noting that the program has played a critical role in improving health planning through effective data collection and utilization, while also...
What has happened is that the health fellows have constantly made data collection relate with this young health fellow that they had never heard about and they don't know their roles. With 2026, we are hoping and believing that we will get more health fellows, get more human resource, because personnel, human resource in health right now is something we are worried about. The whole government.
They were inaugurated last year, and even Mr. President gave them automatic employment for all of them. Unfortunately, on behalf of my mandate secretary, I can be able to tell you that for us in the FCT, we are still calling for an increase from 6 to a higher number, because the system as we have it now, there is only the number of fellows is the number of area councils you're having, and we are disadvantaged at the FCT level. If we have 6 area councils, those 6 will not even be enough for Abuja Municipal Area Council based on the vastness of the land and the population. 3 times the number. Now we have 6, we can have 18. So that at least, even increase should not come for the sake of increase.
It's a balanced panel representing the health sector, representing also academia, representing civil society. So there's a balanced panel and representing the State Ministry of Health.
So the National Health Fellows is a program started by the Federal Ministry of Health, the Honorable Minister of Health and the Honorable Coordinating Minister for Health and Social Welfare. Last year was the very first cohort, and this is the second cohort. What that is planning to do is to raise young leaders in the health sector, to begin to raise young people who can go into the primary healthcare sector and impact. So it is it's a process that is very seamless. You don't need to know anybody. We don't know any of these candidates and they don't know us. So what I love about the selection process of the National Health Fellows is how transparent and how seamless it is, because
Musa Uba, killed by terrorists in Borno State, received the Gallantry Award, while Brigadier General Usman Ahmad was recognized for successfully repelling attacks. Chief of Army Staff Lieutenant General Waidi Shaibu, Major General Abdusalami Enesi Abubakar, and Major General Farouk Mijinyawa received Service and Sacrifice Awards. Other honorees included Colonel Ibrahim Mohammed Jero for innovation and late officers Colonel B. Omaru and Lieutenant Colonel Thomas Ebisinga Alari for outstanding service. Veteran Lieutenant General Tuko Yusuf Buratai, headed by Minister of Information Mohammed Idris, urged the armed forces to remain disciplined, loyal and united, describing them as guardians of Nigeria's democracy. He also announced two initiatives, the Tank a Soldier electronic wall and the My Nigerian Hero campaign, to allow Nigerians to honor 7 personnel and veterans. The Armed Forces Celebration and Remembrance Day is held annually, recognize 7 personnel and celebrate veterans of the Nigerian Armed Forces. Federal government and the Academic Staff Union of Universities have signed a new agreement aimed at improving the quality of university education and ensuring stability in the sector. The agreement, which replaces the 2009 Pact, was unveiled on Wednesday at the Tertiary Education Trust Fund Conference Hall in Maitama, Abuja. The ceremony was attended by key dignitaries, including the Minister of Education, Dr. Maruf Alausa, Minister of State for Education, Professor Suwaibu Ahmad, and the Minister of Labour and Employment, Mohammed Dingyadi. Speaking at the event, ASU President, Professor Chris Pinwona, expressed optimism that the government would fully implement the agreement without prompting strike threats. Minister of Education, Tunji Alausa, described the agreement as a decisive turning point in Nigeria's tertiary education system, attributing it to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's commitment to quality education and uninterrupted academic institutions, and said fund and arraignments were illegal and oppressive, and demands that the respondents issue public apologies in at least 3 national newspapers. He's also claiming 200 million naira in general damages and 1 billion naira as punitive and exemplary damages, totaling 1.2 billion naira. In his affidavit, Sowore stated he was arrested within the premises of the Federal High Court while attending Legal Federation initiate disciplinary actions against the IGP and the FCT Commissioner of Police under relevant laws, including the Anti-Torture Act and the Violence Against Persons Act. Justice Umar directed all parties to be served with hearing notices opportunities for Nigerians. U.S. Ambassador to Nigeria, Richard M. Mills Jr., said the revitalized center will serve as a hub for education, creativity, and professional development. And the arrest and remand of 52 students in Epoma, Edo State, calling the action unacceptable and a dangerous attack on citizens' rights and demand to security. Obi expressed alarm that students who protested against the rising menace of kidnappers and bandits in their community were treated as criminals instead of being projected. The students were reportedly picked up from their homes at night after as long as insecurity persists, urging the government to engage the students in dialogue and take decisive action to reclaim communities from violent criminals. Obi described the arrest as intolerable and called for the immediate and unconditional release of the students, emphasizing that citizens demanding safety should not be punished. National leader of the New Nigeria People's Party, Rabiu Kwankwaso, has dismissed reports claiming he endorsed the possible defection of Kano State Governor Abba Yusuf to the All Progressives Congress. Speculation had suggested that Governor Yusuf was planning to leave the NNPP for the APC and that Kwankwaso had approved the move. However, Kwankwaso's media aide, Saifullahi Hassan, described the reports as false and misleading, stressing that Kwankwaso remains fully committed to the ideals and principles of the NNPP. That Governor Yusuf was elected on the NNPP platform and continued to endorse any defection in elections. As of this report, Governor Yusuf has not publicly addressed the rumors. Federal High Court in Abuja has scheduled January 23, 2026 for hearing the application for a stay of proceedings filed by the Kabiru Turaki-led faction of the People's Democratic Party against a suit instituted by the Wike-led faction of the party. The suit filed by the Wike camp and its acting national chairman, Alhaji Mohammed Abdurrahman, seeks to restrain the senior advocate of Nigeria, opposed the motion, asserting that an appeal against interlocutory orders does not automatically stay proceedings. He further urged the court to proceed with all pending applications and the substantive suits. Justice Abdulmalik adjourned the matter to January 23rd to allow formal response to the motion for stay. The Turaki-led faction also sought the reassignment of the case to another judge, citing past antecedents and perceived partnerships, arguing that prior ex-parte orders had unduly affected the suit's substantive matters. We'll go on a short break now, and when we return, we will continue with the rest of the stories. Please stay with us. has projected Nigeria's economy to grow by 4.4% in both 2026 and 2027, marking what it described as the country's fastest pace of growth in over a decade. The bank upgraded its 2026 growth forecast from 3.7% to 4.4% in its global economic prospects reports released in January 2026, while retaining the 2027 projection at 4.4%. The forecast reflects sustained optimism about Nigeria's medium-term economic outlook, supported by improving macroeconomic conditions despite lingering structural challenges. Nigeria's GDP had grown by 3.46% year-on-year in real terms during the third quarter of 2025, according to the National Bureau of Statistics. The World Bank said the growth acceleration would be driven primarily by the services sector, a rebound in agricultural production, and modest expansion in non-oil industrial activities. Ongoing economic reforms, particularly within the tax system, combined with prudent monetary confidence and reduced inflation. Higher oil output is January 2026 do not give the government or any agency the power to debit personal bank accounts. He emphasized that personal transfers, such as sending money to family or friends, are not subject to taxation and that the transaction narrations are irrelevant to the tax authorities. He explained that neither the old nor the new tax laws allow any institution to access individuals' accounts or instruct banks to debit them based on account activity. Adedeji also highlighted that the workers in the lower salary bracket would benefit from reduced tax deductions under the new regime. He assured that the impact of the law would become evident when salaries are paid at the end of January, as lower cadre earners would notice the difference compared to previous deductions. The NRS boss dismissed widespread claims about the new tax regime as misinformation and rumors. His remarks come after calls from figures such as Labour Party 2023 presidential candidate Peter Obi, who had urged the federal government to suspend the law, citing alleged flaws and potential barriers on Nigerians. Adedeji reaffirmed that the implementation of the tax laws would continue and stressed that laws once passed must be respected in a democratic system. He urged Nigerians to rely on official communications from the NRS rather than unverified claims circulating on social media. Exchange delivered a stellar return of 59.72% in 2025, surpassing the broader market as measured by the NGX All-Share Index, which gained 51.19% over the same period. Data from the exchange showed that the pension Broad Index closed the year at 2,917.84 points, up from 1,826.89 points at the end of 2024. The index includes stocks that meet the investment eligibility criteria set by the National Pension Commission while complying with regulatory requirements. The Pension Broad Index comprises a diversified mix of equities across sectors including financial services, telecommunications, consumer goods, industrials, and energy. An analyst noted that this broad sectoral exposure supported performance amid strong market activity and improved investor sentiment throughout the year. The outperformance of the Pension Broad Index in Nigeria's capital market. Market experts say the performance underscores the importance of transparent rules-based indices in guiding portfolio construction and long-term retirement planning. The Nigerian Exchange said it will continue to collaborate with the National Pension Commission and pension fund officials. Meanwhile, the Department of Homeland Security reported last month that over 605,000 people have been deported under current policies, and an additional 2.5 million people have left the United States voluntarily. The administration maintains that the visa processing suspension is necessary to tighten border security and manage immigration more effectively. Nigerian and other affected applicants will have to wait for further guidance on when normal processing may resume. Tourist and business visa services will continue, but applicants should expect enhanced background checks and additional scrutiny under the new policy. Directives. The State Department and White House have not yet provided a timeline for how long the pause on immigrant visa processing will remain in effect. Iran warned of the very strong action if protesters are hanged. The crackdown has sparked international outrage, with rights groups saying hundreds or even thousands may have been killed. Iranian authorities claim they have restored order and accused protesters of carrying out acts of terror. Judiciary Chief Ghulam Mohsen said serious cases would be handled quickly and in public. Prosecutors say some detainees could face the death penalty for waging war against God. Trump warned that the U.S. would respond strongly if executions go ahead. Tehran dismissed his comments as a pretext for military intervention. Riot groups accused the government of shooting protesters and hiding the scale of the violence through an internet blackout, at least unseal it. A crane at a China-backed high-speed rail project in Thailand collapsed onto a passenger train in Nakhon Ratchasima province on Wednesday, killing at least 32 people. 3 are missing and 64 were hospitalized, including 7 in serious condition. Eyewitnesses said the crane struck the middle carriage, slicing it in half. Rescue teams worked to extract passengers while authorities paused operations due to chemical leakage. The crane was part of a $5 billion Bangkok-Kunming high-speed rail project under China's Belt and Road Initiative. Italian Thai Development, responsible for the section, may be liable, having been linked to past accidents. Thai authorities, Super Falcons, will learn their group opponents for the draw.